Hello again, welcome back to the channel. This here is my 1981 Honda XL500S. Picked it up a couple months back after I saw it pop up on Facebook Marketplace for a really good price. I couldn't pass it up. Plus the fact that it came with a clean title made it that much sweeter of a deal. So went and picked it up. The story with this goes, the guy I got it from, who happens to be the second owner, he bought it from the original owner about 25 years ago. Original owner didn't put many miles on it. He was kind of getting up there in age, so he really couldn't really ride it too much anymore. So he sold it to the guy I got it from, and he basically just rode it around his farm and kind of lost interest in it, and that's where it's been sitting for the last 15 years or so. So the video you're seeing here is the exact condition of what it looked like when I brought it home, complete with the barn dust and some hay still attached to the pegs. And I'll throw up some pictures too of the Facebook ad pictures, just so you can get an idea of the setting it was in the barn. Currently, the bike does not have any spark, but it does got good compression. I'll be going through the entire fuel system, making sure all that's good to go, because as we know, a bike that's been sitting that long with any fuel in it always needs attention. So unfortunately, he said while it was in the barn is when the turn signals got broke. From stuff falling on it, or the bike fell over or something to that degree. But otherwise, it's really pretty good shape, aside from like the surface rust and stuff that you see rearing its ugly head on some of the parts. So my goal is to get it going so I can take it out to Mid-Ohio this year for their vintage days, out at the track, so you can ride it around. And if you've never been there, I highly recommend it. It is so much fun. The last year was the first time I went, me and my brother, and we absolutely loved it. So you'll need a bike though to get around, and just be prepared for that. You might want to take something out, a pit bike or whatever. They basically let you ride all over the place in the trails, and when they're not running the hare scramble events and trials events, you can ride through the trails that they got out there. So I can't recommend it enough, and that's where this bike comes in. I'd like to get it out there. It'd be fun to hit the trails. It'd be big enough to do all the trails and hill climbs and stuff that they got, and just get around the fairgrounds. So without further ado, let's get started on Big Red. Also, before we do that, I wanted to also take a minute to say thank you to all the subscribers and the new people that just recently joined. Helped me get past the 500 plateau. Started doing this channel about 6 months ago, and I'm really surprised at how quickly I'm up to that level. Obviously, I want to try to hit for that magical 1,000 number, but 500 is good for 6 months, I think. So, and also, what a fitting bike to start on after hitting 500 subs is an XL500. So, thanks again. All right, so now that I got the bike on the lift, I think I'm going to start off with removing the seat and the tank so I can get access at the carburetor and start figuring out the spark issue. So I'm going to take the seat and tank off now. Looks a little crusty there. Wonder if something was living in there at one point, but I'll find out soon enough when I take the airbox apart. I'm gonna work my way over to the tank now. Things get a little even crustier after I took the fuel tank off. As you can see, there's a, looks like what used to be a ladybug nest or something. I don't know what kind of insect that was. Looks like ladybugs. But they were once living there. And I noticed the boot is like melted. It's like a really soft, almost like the rubber is just breaking down. It's almost like gum. So that might be part of the reason why it doesn't spark. I'm gonna replace the boot. Probably get a new plug. I'll at least look at the plug, see if I could just clean it up for now. But that might be the whole reason right there why it's not sparking. Yeah, it looks like it's been in a barn for 20 years or so. Wires look like they're intact. Nothing looks chewed up. It's just got that nest on it. I'm just gonna clean that up real well. I'm gonna address this this melting spark plug cap, which is probably the reason why it's not sparking. And then I'm gonna dig my way through back to the carburetor. And it looks like it's got some smog stuff still on it. And it's kind of buried in here a little bit, but I'll get that off, clean it up, and we'll get this running. I might have spoken too soon about mice getting to the wires. I don't know if this is just worn out from rubbing up against something while it was running, or if something chewed that up. Kind of looks like something chewed it up because this part's all open, and looks like maybe remnants of a possible mouse nest in here at some point. I think now's a good time to pop open the airbox, see if I got anything living in here. Or remnants of something that lived in here. Hopefully nothing's still living in here because I've had this in my basement for a couple months now. So, something was living in here. Good chance it's in my house somewhere now. Not too bad. Looks like it's missing the foam element on the filter, but it's pretty clean in there. Might as well take off the right side cover too, because I noticed the battery's still in here. I wonder if that'll still work. I know it won't work. Okay, it's just got the one fastener on that side. The rest are just pushed in to the frame itself here. Yeah, there's the battery. Looks like some stink bugs were living in here too. I got ladybugs, stink bugs, and a possible mouse nest somewhere at one point. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but I'm gonna start loosening up the band clamps on the boots there. Yep, that one's gonna be a fighter, I could tell. Get some lube on there. There we go. It just twisted itself off and just broke, so it needed replaced anyway. No big deal. Just gonna get some lube on the boots so I don't rip nothing trying to get this out of here. It's they're pretty soft still, surprisingly. So I just put some PB Blaster down there, let that work its way in, and hopefully I can get these cables off and pull it out. I'm gonna spray some PB Blaster on some of these while I got access to it here to try to loosen it up and pull that out, get the cables out of the way, and then the carb should slip out. It's pretty hard to show you what I'm doing here on camera, but basically just trying to turn the throttle manually to get these cables off. I already got the choke off, the choke cable. Just a matter of getting this to turn enough for me to pull the cable off. And everything's in a tight spot here, so it's a little tricky to show on camera too what's happening. This will be fun going back together. Should be able to pull these out now. Good Lord. It's out. That is in there tight. Ended up having to take the the boot off of the airbox to have enough room to pull the carb off without screwing up this front boot. I don't want to have to replace those. Alright, so luckily the slide's not frozen. It's just the throttle cable itself that's frozen. So doesn't sound like there's any fuel in here either. Nothing came out whenever I turned it on its side. So you might get lucky. It might have been drained of fuel before it was parked, hopefully. We'll find out. All right, I think I'm gonna crack open this car just to get a quick look at what I'm dealing with here. See how crusty it is on the inside. I'm predicting it might be pretty decent. Oh, it looks like we got some remnants of old fuel in there, but I don't think there's gonna be a lot. So let's see what it looks like. Screws are loose. Might have to come off too. crusty there. See if I can get this bowl off. Oh, here we go. It's leaking. Sorry about that. Okay. Not horrible. Still kind of wet in there, that's good. Not crusty. I'd pulled apart ones before that were like sand in there. This doesn't look too bad. A little sludgy. This to be expected though. It wasn't completely hardened, so that's good. This should clean up pretty easy. Everything looks to be in good shape. Just needs cleaned up. Those look a little blocked up. Looks pretty good. Inside here is pretty clean. moves freely. Looks like I was able to save this gasket here too, which is good. I'm gonna try to get away with not having to buy a rebuild kit. So luckily I got a friend that will let me use his ultrasonic cleaner. All right, next up I'm gonna pull these throttle cables back, flip them upside down, and get some lube down in here and try to salvage these things. All right, so I think I'm just gonna take off the throttle itself because it's a little crusty still. I have the cables off from the carb and I got some lube in there, but it's still kind of binding. So I'm gonna take this off, slide it off, maybe get some lube down in here, take this apart, and get it cleaned up, make this a little smoother. Much better. Well, unfortunately, there's no saving these cables. They were stretched and twisted up in there, and that's why it was kind of grinding up. So I'm gonna order new cables. Those aren't gonna work. All right, next I'm gonna move over to the fuel tank and just kind of prep this for over the next couple days, just letting this distilled vinegar sit in there and break up any of the little bit of rust that's in there. The tank really wasn't that bad, so I'm just gonna put a couple of these in, let it sit while I work on the rest of the bike. And by the time a couple days roll around, I'll flush this around a little bit and drain it out, filter it, and put it back in for another day or so, just to make sure it's all clean. You got some leaking going on. That's not good. Yep, well, unfortunately, I spoke too soon with the tank being solid. I got a little bit of leak coming out of here. Didn't see this paint bubbling up. And as soon as I put the vinegar in there, kind of seeped out a little bit. So I'm thinking I might just try a tank sealer on this. I'll kind of scrape this away and see how bad it is, but might try to get away with a sealer on there. All right, so I'm going to move over to the sparking issue, and figured I'd just clean up the plug and give it a try. So start simple and see if I get lucky with a spark here on the original plug. Nothing. All right, so I still have a suspicion that the sparking issue is stemming from the boot. It's cracked here. It was melting, as you could see in the previous part of this video. So I cut back some of the wire, and I'm gonna screw this back in with some fresh wire on the spark plug, or on the coil wire here, and let's see if it'll spark now. I ordered a boot and a new plug. This is an older plug, but you know, it cleaned up pretty well. So let's see what happens. All right, cool. It looks like that was it. It was just a matter of cutting back the wire off the coil and screwing the cap back on there. All right, so I'm leaving off on a high note here on this video. After getting that spark figured out, it's a big weight off my mind. Luckily, it was just the boot. Like I said, I got one of those ordered up already. I got a plug coming. And I'm going to go up and do a little more shopping on eBay. Get the throttle cable to replace the ones that are stretched up on here. I'm going to get an air filter element. Going to see about repairing the oil separator tube coming off the intake boot. I'm gonna get a boot band because this just ripped off when I was taking it apart. Then I'm gonna do a little research on the process of sealing a tank. So if anybody out there has done that, if you can chime in, let me know if you think it's worth it, if you think I should just try to get this repaired. I do have a friend that's very good at welding, so I might end up hitting him up for this. But you know, if it's something that I can, if I could seal this and it would take care of it, I'd probably go that route. Just because it's not that, it weeps out a little bit, but it's not crazy. It's not a crazy big hole. But I guess I gotta peel back the paint and see what's underneath. But yeah, any thoughts and opinions on that? I'm all for hearing them. So yeah, let me know in the comments, please, if you think I should try to get that repaired or just try to go for a seal job. Yeah, and with that, I think if once I get the carb cleaned up in the ultrasonic cleaner, I'll throw it back on the bike and add a little bit of fuel, see if I can get it to fire up, since I know it sparks, and just keep moving along with this project. I want to get it done for the Mid-Ohio Vintage Days, which is coming up in late July. So my goal is to be able to get this so I could ride this around there and ride it around the fairgrounds and the trails and all that stuff. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for hanging out in the garage here with me, the basement, I should say. And until next time, see you then.